Alright, so I just received a question, and I really hope you guys would turn your phone off of rotation lock so then I can actually see the pictures better. So we are given a flow chart for a proof. So we're given a beautiful triangle. So like always, my first step is to draw the triangle and draw the picture. I always start off by doing that. And then they gave us some pieces of information. Just that. They also gave us our very first part of our flow chart. So our flow chart is 4 boxes. The very first box is going to be what's given. So the very top box is going to be BD is angle bisector of angle ABC. Boom. That's always going to be your first box, is whatever is written. That leads into, well, since it says a bisector, we can say angle ABD is congruent to angle CBD, because definition of bisect. Delta Math has a different thing to say. But as long as you type in the word bisect, it'll be there. Then we just need to have the other 2 boxes. Well, one of those boxes should definitely be angle CDB is congruent to angle ADB. And that would be a given since it's in the picture. And then, of course, the most common sense one, DB, is congruent to DB because of reflexive. And that would be it. That would be the answer. If you have any questions, just send me them on Remind. Otherwise, I don't have anything that was truly planned for this afternoon. So unless you guys send me some Remind messages, I don't have anything to go over at the moment. Alright, so somebody just asked about a negative exponent problem. Unfortunately, that's a very broad question, so it's going to be a little bit harder for me to answer. Let me take a look. So, on Delta Math, I found this problem. 4 to the negative 8th power times 4 to the 0 power over 4 to the 5th. So, looking at this problem, my first thing is thinking, oh, well, let's just care about the top. Let's keep that 4 to the 5th down below right now and ignore it while we work on the top part. So, since we are multiplying for the top, that means I just add the exponents again together. So, negative 8 plus 0 is negative 8. So that leaves me with 4 to the negative 8th power. Now I'm dividing. So I'm going to do negative 8 minus 5. Keep, change, change. That's going to be a negative 13. So this turns into a 4 to a negative 13th power. And then now, because it's a negative, that just means 1 over 4 to the 13th power. Because a negative symbol only tells that it just goes to the other side of the fraction. Then another example for this could just be 4 to the negative 6 over 4 squared, parentheses, to the 4. Because this is a power to a power, I'm just going to multiply, which will give me 4 to the negative 24th power over 4 to the 8th power. And once again, since I'm dividing, I'm just going to do negative 24 minus a positive 8. Keep, change, change. That's going to be a negative 32. So 4 to the negative 32nd power, which once again, negative exponent just means it goes to the denominator or the numerator, depending on if it's already at the top or the bottom. I hope that helps. So like I said, if you guys have a question, just send them to me and I'll try to go over what I can. The big thing about negative exponents is if you have x to the negative 2nd, it changes to 1 over x squared. But if you already have a negative exponent on the bottom, it just goes up top. So if you want me to go over another problem, please just send me another message on Remind, and I will try to do another one on screen. Well, in Math 3 right now, we were just got done working with y equals mx plus b, where m stands for the slope and b is the y-intercept, which pretty much just means slope is, the rate of change, how something changes in one direction and then another direction. And the y-intercept is always the starting value of something. So one of the easy ones we always think about is, all right, well, if I work at a job for $7 an hour, that's 7x, minus the $15 I have to pay right away to get a uniform. So 7 being the slope, you're making $7 every single time. And then the minus 15 is you owe the company $15 automatically, but you only pay that once. I can't talk about the project that he's doing in class because that is something that I need all the kids to keep trying to do on their own. So they are allowed to work in groups of up to 3. And I know they all can do it. Another algebra question I got is dealing with more negative exponents. So we have here, this is once again distribute, so we're just multiplying. So 5, negative 2 times negative 4 is a positive 8. And negative 1 times negative 4 is a positive 4. And this is just subtraction since it is a division problem. So that just leaves us with 5 to the 4th. And then you'd be done on it. Same thing for this other problem. When you have 2 to the negative 1st, and this is where it's very important to see what happens. So on this one, notice how the parentheses is not around everything. So that means this 4 only gets distributed to that 1 up top, where the other one, the parentheses, was around everything. So that's why it gets distributed to everything. So this one, the denominator still says 2 to the 2nd power. The numerator becomes 2 to the negative 4th power. We are dividing, so we can once again just subtract negative 4 minus 2. Keep, change, change. So that's 2 to the negative 6th power. And whenever we have a negative exponent, we just move it to the other side of the fraction, so 2 to the 6th. I can't remember if Delta Math is actually asking you to multiply 2 to the 6th. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 4, 4, 4. 16 and 16 and 4 is 64. So it could be 1 over 64. But I'm not entirely certain because there's a couple different questions that Delta Math asks when it comes to that. What are you doing, princess? So keep the questions coming and I'll be more than happy to keep answering them. Alright, so another one involving exponents. That's an S. I really don't like that. Some programs use S's. So when you have a multiplication problem like this, you can just rewrite everything in a different order for yourself. Because it's all multiplication. So the 2 and the 9 you multiply, you get 18. The two S's, you're going to add them together because when you multiply, you add. So that's S to the 8th power. And that's it. So when it's multiplying like that, you just multiply everything, but the exponents still get added together. And now, Here is a nice, beautiful simplify the radical. We have what is the square root of 162? And that's definitely not a perfect square, so you have to factor tree it. Well, 162, it ends in a 2. It's divisible by 2, so that's going to be 81. 2 times 81. 81 can be broken up into 9 times 9. And then we can break up the two 9s into 3, 3, 3, and 3. That's my prime factorization. Now, if you remember, there's a little invisible 2 here. That means we're looking for pairs. There's a pair of 3s, so I write 1, 3. Times, there's another pair of 3. Another 3. Well, there's no more pairs left. So that means I write my square root symbol, and I put the last number 2. And then I combine my like terms. 3 times 3, 9, square root of 2. So if I wanted to simplify the square root of 162, it simplifies down to 9 square root of 2. All you do is for squares, you take out the pairs. Pairs go on the outside, non-pairs go on the inside. So if you have any questions, just send me them on Remind and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Alright, so my next question is going back to a system of linear inequalities. So we are given two linear inequalities, negative 1/2 x minus 8, and the other one y is less than or greater than negative 3/2 x plus 1, and I'm given four different options. So all I do is I literally pick an option, I try it, and see if it works. So looking at all of those answers, the easiest one that I would try to pick first is negative 8 comma 0, because there's a 0. So the 0 goes where the y is. Negative half of negative 8 minus 8. And we are looking for which point would not be a solution. That's hard to see. They forgot to include the question. So we're looking for the one that is not a solution. So that means it's false to one of the two equations. So on this one, if I plug 0, 0 in, negative times a negative is positive. Half of 8 is 4 minus 8. 0, negative 4. That is a true statement. So far that one is a true answer. And if I plug it in on the other one, and this is where it comes to, depending on how good you are with fractions, it's easier or not easier. So negative 3 times negative 8 is a positive 24. 24 divided by 2 is a positive 12 plus 1. 0 is less than 13. That's a true answer. So this is a true answer. So that's not my one that's wrong. Now I'm going to try negative 4 and positive 7. And once again, because it's asking for which one is not a solution, that means I have to just plug them in until I find one that's false for one of them at least. So is 7 greater or equal to negative 1/2 times negative 4 minus 8? Once again, that's going to be a 2 minus 8. Negative 6, that's a true statement. And now time for the other side. 3/2 times a negative 4 plus 1. Negative times a negative positive. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6 plus 1. That is a true statement because 6 plus 1 is definitely equal to 7. So I just keep going down the line. Negative 4 comma 4. That one's going to be our wrong answer. So 4 greater than or equal to negative 1/2 times negative 4 minus 8. 4 greater than 2 minus 8. That's a true statement. 2 minus 8 is negative 6, which is less than 4. But for the other side, we plug in negative 4. So we get 4 is less than or equal to 6 plus 1. Nope, that's still a true statement. So that means the answer, I guess, is the last one. 8 comma negative 4. I'm just going to skip to do the other one because that's the one that we're looking for. I think it's going to be this one. Negative 3 halves times 8 plus 1. That's going to be 3 times 8 is negative 24. There's a pupper down there. Negative 24 divided by 2 is negative 12 plus 1. Negative 4 is not less than negative 11. So false. So 8 comma negative 4 would be the answer that is not a solution. So it's just doing it over and over and over again until you finally get to the one that did not work. But you have to read the directions. Alright, so the next geometry problem is once again like every other geometry problem. The first thing I start with, I draw the picture. Always drawing pictures in geometry class. You have to. A, B, C, empty. We have this one and this one. We have this and this. And that's it. So, let's see here. We have in red. That's not red, that's green. DC is congruent to BC. That would be our given. That's one box. Our green box would be angle DCA is congruent to angle BCA. Given as well. That would be the second box. And the final box, dead center. CA is congruent to CA by the reflexive property. And that would give you, what is that? SAS, side angle side. All right. So I think this is going to be the last question I do for tonight. You still can send me messages on Remind and I can help you. That is a really horrible looking square root symbol. All right. Hey, iPad, work. So we have the square root of 108. So this is just factor tree time. So 108, well, I know that's an even number, so I'm going to cut it in half. That would be 54. Once again, 54 is an even number. I'm going to cut it in half. So half of 54, 25. Half of 4 is 2, 27. Bring down this 2. Oh, 27. I can divide that by 3 because 2 plus 7 is 3. Or it's 9, and 9 divided by 3. Oh my gosh. Math. I am not good at you. Then bring down the other 2's. Oh, 9. That's 3 and 3. Bring down this 3. Bring down a 2. Bring down the 2 and draw a line. So since this is a square root, we are looking for pairs. We have a pair of 2's, so I write a pair of 2. I have a pair of 3's, so I'm going to write another 3. And that's the end of my pairs. So the remaining stuff goes on the inside. Now I can just multiply 2 times 3, 6, square root of 3. And that's it. Well, if you have any other questions, you can send them to me on Remind. Otherwise, you can look back at this video or previous video. And thank you for tuning in. Bye.